Good afternoon and welcome to part two of the business continuity webinar for COVID-19. And today we are with our panel of experts from Business Success Partners in conjunction with Waka. So we've got Steve Parker again, Phil Wicks and Helen Laidlaw. So we are going to start with you, Phil. Tell us about part two of the seminar. What is it about and what can people expect to get out of it?
Okay, so part one, we really focused on basically, what you can do now. What are things you can do while you're in lockdown, looking at sort of different things around your financial situation. Whereas in this seminar, we're going to focus on how you can come out of this as a lot stronger business. And to do this, we're going to sort of look at sort of the whole framework of the business, and also look at what you can be working on now to actually produce a business plan or a mini business plan where you can actually come out of this in a stronger position than perhaps even when you went in.
Okay, so you've mentioned a business success model as a starting point. Perhaps you can sort of elaborate on that a bit.
Yeah, sure. Well, there it is there. So that's what we call the business success framework, and this is a framework that we use when we look at a business. And you'll see you've got the strategic elements of a business, the vision, personal vision, business vision, strategy, structure, and culture. And then you have all the operational elements, all the doing things, finance, operations and processes, people, marketing and sales, and products and services. And what we find with businesses when they first start off, when a business first starts off, it has a vision and generally will have a strategy to try and achieve that vision. And then as the business grows, it'll get to a situation where often it gets so busy doing the doing that a lot of that strategic stuff sort of goes out the window. And that's why a lot of businesses will start up, they'll grow, then they'll flatline, and they'll be like that for 10, 15 years because they stop looking ahead. So we use that framework, and part of that framework is basically making sure that the business still does a little bit of strategy. And of course, what you've got here is an ideal time to do some strategy.
Fabulous. Okay, we're going to move on to Helen now. Now, Helen, you mentioned about a SWOT analysis the other day when we were talking as being a very simple, powerful tool for businesses to use to get growth strategy underway. So can you elaborate on that? Why is it such a good tool to use?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. So a SWOT, for those who aren't sure, is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And what it does, it allows you to prioritise the work that you need to grow your business. So if you look at your strengths and weaknesses, they're internal to your company. So they are the things that you have control over and that you can change. Some examples include your team, your physical assets, your business processes, and your location. The opportunities and threats are external. So things that are going on outside your company in the larger market that you actually can't change. So COVID-19 is a very good example. You can protect against the threats and you can take advantage of the opportunities. And that's one of the bonuses of doing a SWOT analysis. So some examples of opportunities and threats are your competitors, your prices of your raw materials, your market trends, and customer shopping trends. So you might sort of think that you know everything that you need to do to succeed, but a SWOT analysis will force you to look at your business in new ways and from new directions. So make sure you include some or all of your team, as having entirely different perspectives will be critical to making sure your SWOT analysis is successful.
Okay, that's good. So how do we go about doing a SWOT analysis?
Yeah, that's always a question, isn't it, Craig? So a SWOT analysis usually takes about 1 to 2 hours. Make sure you do include your team, as I said previously. It can be done using online video platforms such as Zoom, so don't think you need to wait until the lockdown to do this. It's effectively a bit like running a brainstorming meeting. And the most efficient way and the best way to get the most out of it is to have a set of questions for each of the 4 categories. This is imperative to make it successful. So give all your participants time to have a look at the SWOT analysis questions, and these are some examples here. So around the strengths and weaknesses, those are the internal stuff. So what skills do you have? What do you get customer complaints about? And the opportunities and threats, the externals, can you rely on your supply chain, or are there any new products or services you could develop? Once you have completed your SWOT analysis, you can create a list of actions. So look at your strengths. How can you use them to take advantage of the opportunities you've identified? Or how can you use them to combat the threats? What needs to be done to minimise your weaknesses? And once you've got an action list, you can then prioritise the tasks, assign an owner and a due date to them, and then get focused on achieving these tasks.
Brilliant. So how often, if I was a business owner now, how often should I be doing a SWOT analysis?
For me, Craig, I recommend you do it at least once a year.
Okay, perfect. Right, now, Steve. Steve, you're going to talk about the 2 most important factors in a business strategy. So what are those 2?
Yeah, we have a diagram you can put up, Craig, that we use to sort of capture the different parts that you use to think through your business. So the 2 that I really wanted to emphasize today was around the target market and points of difference.
Okay, so what is the best way to determine who the target market is?
Well, very simply, it's who you love doing business with. Very often, these same people are also the people that you make the most money on. They don't challenge your prices. They like the value that you bring to them. And we call these your A customers. I think we have another picture that you can put up that sort of, again, there's some questions that you guys, viewers, can take hold of, and you can flesh those questions out and add to them as to think about who your A customers are, your target market. And you'll see that I've italicized and desired, because you need to think both current, and they'll give you your clues for where to grow and how to make that bigger, and that pushes you into more of that desired market.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how can I get more of these A customers, Steve?
Yeah, well, it all starts with being really clear who they are. So that exercise that we just had up there, go back to that and get clear. If you're after a certain kind of fish in the sea, then you bait your hook accordingly. So that's the very first thing, is this second picture that we had up there. And then you want to sort of prioritize that with both your customer service and your marketing. The thing that I really want to emphasize is that you're not for everyone. Just because you're a plumber doesn't mean you're for everybody who has a pipe. Your particular value proposition will suit some customers better than the other. And getting focused there and being able to target your marketing and targeting how you talk about what you're good at and what the value is that you provide, that will bring you more A customers.
So how does this link to your point of difference, Steve?
Yeah, well, very often your A customers are your A customers because of this thing that you do for them. What we tend to find as business advisors is that your that point of difference that's there underneath is not well articulated to you or to them. So very often, just by trying to find your A, think about who those people are that you love doing business with, those people that value you. You get to get a bit of an idea for what your point of difference really is. And that's what we want to do. We want to clarify that. In other language, that's also called your unique value proposition or your unique selling proposition. And I do want to say that if you don't think you've got a point of difference, you need to create one. Otherwise, you're always going to be competing on price.
So if I work out what my point of difference is, how do I go about expressing that? How can I make the point of difference very, very clear to people?
Again, just going through some questions, and we've got a few up there. What are the top 3 things we currently deliver? What are some things that we do better than our competitors? And again, this is, as Phil brought up earlier, this is such a great time to think forwards about what your ideal vision. Again, really map that out and do that with your team as well, so that they can get a clear idea for what it is you're going to major on coming out of this. And then there's some key questions and activities coming out of that as well. Review your points of contact. I'll come back to that in a second. And asking the question, what do our desired customers want? There's a relationship there between what they want and what you deliver, and you want to make sure there's a good overlap there for that. I would probably also like to say that just in this, just as a point of clarification, something that we also bring up time and time again is that there's a difference between, if you like, a point of difference and a market requirement. Just good general customer service is what we'd call just basic market requirement, just basics of doing business. However, a certain customer experience that you're trying to manufacture and create for that would be a point of difference, and because that'll be unique to you. And the other thing I want to say at this time is I expect that, as we come back online, it's difficult to know what that's going to look like, whether it be regionally or whatever. And I expect it to be a real bun fight, at least as to claiming those first few customer dollars and getting presence. And I think it'll be those who are clearest on their point of difference and who can tell it the best will do well. So I think this is a really critical time for majoring on what those are. Competing on price, I don't think will be enough when we come out of this.
Okay, yeah, good warning there for us all. So you said you're going to take us through what you mean by review your points of contact.
Yeah, so if you can bring up that slide. So this is basically, we also use the language points of impact. These are the touch points that you have with your customer, and you'll see I've got a sort of a starter list there of 1 through to 6. Marketing, that first point of contact where you actually finally interact with them through to the sales process and service, and we want to know how smooth is that overall process for them, and how consistent is your brand through there, and you'll get some dropouts as to what you need to improve on as you think that through.
Thank you, Steve. That was very, very informative. Phil, by this stage, we're really starting to bring out a lot of information regarding a strategy. So what actually is a strategy?
Well, I guess if you think of your business vision as being the destination that you want to get to, a strategy is really the roadmap that takes you to that destination. And a strategy is when our points of difference match our target market. So you heard Steve talking a lot about those 2 things, how to define your target market and then create some points of difference around that, and match those 2 things together. And when we do that, we lock out the competition and we lock in customer loyalty, and this becomes our business strategy.
Perfect. So what would be a way to summarize all this up for the people watching? A few points to help them formulate a strategy.
Well, understanding there will be some notes about this available on the website. So you don't have to remember the whole thing. You can refer to those notes. But basically, if you think back to what we've talked about around the SWOT analysis at the beginning, around the business framework, and then around the target market, we want to put all this information together. And then we do all that, and we also take into account our points of impact as well. So we're looking at the SWOT, better understanding of your target market, what are our points of difference, and our points of impact, which are all the areas that we have with our customers, right from the first contact we have with a customer right through to billing, through debt collection. What are the areas of that we're doing good and we're not doing so good? So all these things that we've talked about will create a list of objectives. So and what we do with that list of objectives, if you can go to the original slide, Craig, the one that had the business framework. Yeah. So all those list of objectives, we now want to put those into the categories on our operational level of our business. So as a business, you want to be thinking about what 5 or 6 things do we need to improve in products and services? What 5 or 6 things do we have to improve in marketing, sales, and so on and so on? So that's what you should do. All that work that you do previous will bring you all those objectives. And then the last thing that you do is that you'll take, for each objective, there'll be 3 or 4 tasks that will bring those objectives to life. And you put some timelines around that, and that creates an implementation plan. And what we find, if you follow that type of routine around creating a vision, a strategy, getting your objectives, and then putting it into an implementation plan, and then coming back and measuring how you're doing against it, then your business will progress. And this is a great opportunity to start this process while we're in lockdown, to give some real good business continuity once you get out. And the key thing is being able to go back to those goals. Like I said at the beginning, businesses flatline because they stop doing strategy. They just keep on doing the doing. If you can get into the habit of always going back to those objectives, renewing them, and moving on and getting better and better, then we have found that businesses that do that are inclined to grow a lot more successfully, profitably, and faster than businesses that don't.
Fantastic. Very good words. Okay, for those that are watching this seminar, if you want to get in contact with Business Success Partners, the best way is just to Google Business Success Partners NZ. Check out the reviews online. You'll see that they're a great bunch of people to deal with. And if you want to ring, we have phone number is 0800 287 266. Website businesssuccesspartners.co.nz, and you can email on info@bspnz.co.nz. So as Phil mentioned, there will be some content up on the website regarding what's been shown today. That'll be in the blog section, and that'll be done on the next day as we progress. So thanks, guys. That was really a great bit of information there for people. So if you're watching this, don't hesitate to reach out. We have advisors waiting who will have some time to deal with you and help you with any inquiry you've got. So thanks, guys. It was a great session, and we'll take care and keep your family safe, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you. Thanks,
Bye.
Craig.